Hi guys, welcome back to my craft space. Today I want to chat about some die cuts. So we're going to go over some basic die cutting information. As you can see, I've got a whole realm of stuff here to chat with you about. The first confusing thing is that this is a die cut that comes from the die that's used in the die cut machine. So you can't have one without the other. Again, this is the cut. This is the die, this is the machine. So let's make that make a little more sense. And there's all kinds of different ways that die cuts can actually look, both in the cuts and the dies. There's different brands, there's all kinds of things on the market. Some are versatile and work with other machines, and some do not. So let's chat about it. Okay, so before we get too much further into the video, I first just want to let you know I've never worked for Sizzix or Quickutz or any of these companies. I've never had official training from them, but I have been die cutting for about 17 years or more. So if there's something that I'm doing differently, this is just the way that I've done it over the years. Feel free to go to sizzix.com or any of the companies, go to their website. They will have a lot of information there, a lot of terminology there, and we'll be able to help you with questions and answering. And a lot of them have YouTubes as well, so you can check out their videos, and they have such a great wealth of information there, and that's how I've learned along my journey. I also owned a store, so die cutting machine was a really great way to add some pizzazz to our crops and also to make some class kits and stuff for 4-H projects and people that we had in the store. Was just a really great way to add some extra touches. Okay, so let's get into this a little bit. Today in this video, I'm just going to talk about manual die cutters, and I don't have all of them that I'm going to chat about. I've gotten rid of a couple along the way just because I've evolved and I don't have my store anymore, so I don't need as many. But I do still have 5 manual die cutters, I think, to count right now, and a plethora of dies. So we'll go over the ones that I have. I'll chat about some of the ones that I don't have, and we'll definitely hit on some terminology that will help you while you're learning to die cut with whatever machine that you have. So some of the first things that you need to learn about die cutting. Once you've discovered what the die cut is, what the die is, what the machine is, now we're moving on. Some of these machines will have cutting pads. Some of the bigger machines will look like this. One thing I appreciate having multiple machines is that a lot of them have started labeling their cutting pads so that you know exactly which machine this platform or cutting pad is for, which is really great. Now these will look a little bit different for some of the systems. Some of them have clear cutting pads. I had some out somewhere. Okay, well, some of them have clear cutting pads that look like this. These ones are actually more of a cutting plate because you layer them in what is called a sandwich, depending on which die you want to put through the die cut machine. To simplify this, Sizzix made a multi-purpose platform, which was really great when I had my big shop because you could use this platform. It told you exactly what order to put your things in. This ordering system here is what's called a sandwich. So when you're making your layers of things to put through your die cut machine, that is called a sandwich. We'll get into that a little bit more in just a little bit. So let's talk about some of the pieces. One of the oldest machines is the first machine that I started with, is just the basic Sizzix machine. And it comes with, I don't have this machine anymore, but it was a great machine. My kids even all learned to use it, and they used it a lot. We made Christmas tags. We made Christmas tags a lot like this shape here. We made all kinds of things for my store, all kinds of things for 4-H, and all 3 of my kids knew how to use this machine. If you use it right, there's really not much you could do to hurt yourself with it. I guess you could smash your fingers in there if you weren't paying attention, or if you mishandled a die, going back to these die cuts here, these are what's called originals dies from Sizzix, because they are this red, yellow, blue, or green. The newer ones are black or Tim Holtz colors, and I think there's maybe some other colors in there too, but these rainbow colors are the original dies. But if you look inside of here, in this squishy mesh of a mat, whatever they call it, there is blades in there. That's what does the cutting. So you don't want to press your hands on here. You don't want to put your hand in the machine like this. It will cut you. I've never been cut by a die, but it totally is possible. You can see on some of these bigger ones, you know, the blade is in there and it's as sharp as scissors. You can cut anything with these that scissors will cut. So you can cut fabric, you can cut paper, cardstock, cardboard. I think you could probably do like wallpaper patterns, that kind of thing. Anything that is kind of a thinner material. Some of the newer machines are rated for different weights. It will totally depend on your machine what types of materials you can use. So that's one thing to definitely consider when you're getting a die cut machine is what are my plans for it? What do I plan to do with it? What do I plan to cut with it? Do I just need something small? Do I need something bigger? You know, if you're a card maker or you just like adding a few little accents on some pages, a smaller unit will totally be fine. But if you want to do a little bit of everything, something with a bigger platform is probably going to be best for you. And some of these platforms also come in this long skinny size. This is the extended space platform for Sizzix machine. I don't use a Sizzix machine anymore because I use an Ebosser, but we'll go over that one because some of these older machines you have to crank. This was the next one that I had, was the Big Shot, and it looks like this. And you put your, see it says a sandwich. You put your sandwich in and then you crank the handle like this. And you can, the benefit of this one is you can use a lot of different styles of die cuts, of dies to get a lot of different styles of die cuts. See, there's a common misphrasing of the terms and it gets really confusing for people who are just getting into die cutting. A lot of people just say die cut and they're meaning this. But actually the die cut is this, the die is this. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the dies that are available and we'll chat about the different brands. Again, these are the originals dies by Sizzix. The red ones was their bigs dies. And I have a lot of these. I really love them. I still use them. This one's a scalloped tag. It's really great. It's a bigger version of this one. Again, like I said, I've had these for years. They've held up nicely and I still use them a lot. My kids have used them at various ages and they have withstood the times of customers using them, friends using them, borrowing them, moving. They've gone through the storm and they're still good. These ones are basically the same. They just make different sizes. So these are originals dies. So in the instructions, when it tells you, use your original die, this is what they're talking about. And I think at the time of this machine, originals dies was all that they had available. So it was red, yellow, blue, or green. And green was just the, I think these are 2-inch shapes if I'm not mistaken. Blue was usually like alpha bars or like little decorations, like side decorations. The yellow was just larger shapes, and then the red was their biggest size. Sizzix has evolved, and they have moved into some other styles. But let's back up a second and chat about this machine here. So if you have this machine, this is the handle. So you're going to use your cutting pad, which looks like this, only smaller. It kind of looks like a cutting board like you would have in your kitchen. It'll look more like this, and it'll be smaller to fit into this unit here. So you'll put your cutting pad, you'll put your paper, and then you'll put your die cut like this. You'll put it through, and then you'll pull this handle. When I say put it through, you're gonna put it right through here. And you'll pull this handle down, and then you'll, if you have just one, like this size, this 2x2 size, it will fit in there. You'll only have to crimp it once probably, depending on the thickness of your paper. If you have a bigger die like this one, you'll put it through, crimp it, and then move the pad a little bit more and crimp it down. Same thing goes for this yellow one and this red one. The red one, you might have to crimp 2 or 3 times by pulling that handle down and moving your plate through. You want to be careful not to move your paper because then it'll cut in different spots and it won't match up. So that's not the look that you're going for. Okay. One other cool thing with this older machine here is that you can buy a Sizzix system converter, which looks like this. And this is heavy, it's metal. So it's going to go right here on this bar that goes across. It's gonna hook right in there. And that will enable you to use other dies. So you'll be able to use Cuttlebug dies, you'll be able to use Quickutz dies, and so forth. So let's chat about the different types of dies that I have in my collection. I of course have the Sizzix original dies that you've just seen, and I have quite a collection of them. This, what you're seeing now, is just a little bit of them. So when using the system converter with the big machine or using the Sizzix sidekick, the Sizzix sidekick will not allow you to use these original dies. That's too thick. It doesn't fit through there. So you cannot use these with the sidekick. But with the sidekick, you can use Sizzlets, which looks like this. I've got some open here. So they come in thousands of shapes and sizes. The letters that you're seeing on them, these are just my initials. I used to take them to crops and allow people to use my collection, so I didn't want to get them mixed up. And so writing my initials on there was just an easy way to get that done. Okay, so those are Sizzlets. They are a lot thinner. There's thousands of shapes, maybe hundreds, I don't know, but they've been out for years. They have many different alphabets. In fact, I see these on Marketplace all the time, alphabets for sale, because people have now moved to using digital die cutters or computerized die cutters like Cricuts, Cameos, Silhouettes, whatever, that kind of thing. So, but today we're just talking about the manual ones. Okay, so these were Sizzlets. These are Embosslets. So the cool thing about this is that when it cuts it out, it will also emboss a piece of the side here, so it'll be raised as well. And wow, sorry, that packaging is really dirty. This has just been in a bag. These ones are Sizzlets. You can get them, like I said, in all kinds of different shapes. This is a vintage set, which is pretty cool. It has some photo corners, a frame, a trunk, and a shoe. And if you're into junk journaling, that is just awesome. Okay, these ones are by Provocraft. Provocraft also puts out the Cricut, but their manual die cutter is the Cuttlebug. And I think they also had a smaller one than the Cuttlebug. So the Cuttlebug looks like this. This is an anniversary edition. Let's see if we can zoom out just a little bit. So it has a little handle. Let me see what the specs say about it. It has a 6x8 plate size. The machine itself weighs about 6 pounds. It's also a hand crank, and it'll cut most anything up to an 1/8 inch of thickness with its die cuts. So you can use a variety of dies that fits inside the unit. So that's good. And these ones are pretty old. I'm not totally sure what their current Cuttlebug dies look like, because I don't normally buy them anymore. I really do use the ones that I have. This is one of my favorite ones because it cuts out all these wonky circles, and then I can take them and use them to make layers and clusters and so forth. So these are Cuttlebug dies. This one is kind of cool because it's a 2-piece die. So you'll cut this one in one color maybe, and then this one in another color, like a different shade of green, and then you'll layer them together to make kind of a neat looking leaf. I use the arrows a lot. There's a little train, horseshoe. I have a whole drawer full more, but I just brought out some different ones to show you. Now if we're going back to the Sizzix ones, they also come in like this. These ones are called clearlets. And what's cool about these is that, like, if you wanted to cut out this heart shape around a photo or a specific design on your paper, like maybe we wanted to just cut out this, like a heart made out of a rose paper like this, you can see where it's going and cut it out right there. So that's kind of nice. Again, there are still blades inside of these, so you don't want to like you can touch them. It's not like a knife, but you don't want to like squish them around too much and try and figure out how it works. I personally have never taken mine apart. I've seen some videos recently where people are trying to make their own or change how it works. I don't do that because I've got a lot of time and money invested in my machines, and I just like to use them and rely on them and hope that they will just keep working. So that's what I do. Okay, so again, that's a Sizzlet. Or Clearlet, I'm sorry, Clearlet. These ones are by Quickutz, and these ones are for, well, you can use them in a big shot or a big kick. You can use them in the Ebosser that I have. You can use them in a snap machine that I also have. And they also especially work well in the Quickutz Revolution machine. That looks like this snazzy little machine. I love this machine. I bought it at a scrapbook convention that I went to at one point in time, and I had them to sell in my store. Really, really love them. Downside with this machine is you can't use anything big like these. It just doesn't fit. The reason it doesn't fit these is because Quickutz always made thin dies, thin metal dies. So that's what it's designed to do. To use this Revolution, let me clear out some of these here. To use this, it has a platform here. It's a hand crank. I'm not sure what the weight is on it. I think it's a 4x4 platform, but I know you can buy an extender for it. As you can see, some people have put the die cuts going the wrong way because it's not supposed to do like that. So it left some scarring on my machine there, which, I mean, it's okay. It still works. It just doesn't look as pretty as it used to. And that's not how it was designed for use. So the way you're supposed to use it is by using one of their thin metal dies. You put it down here, and this is magnetic, so it stays right in place, which is really great. And we'll go ahead and cut out something here. Put your cardstock, and then this is your cutting pad. Mine looks pretty well loved. And you put it in there and give it a crank. Now sometimes when you're doing these, and these cutting pads will pop and crack a little bit, that is okay. It should turn with ease though. You don't want to put so much in there. Like, I wouldn't put 5 or 6 pieces of cardstock in there because it would just be too much for this machine. Then when you take it apart, you have your cute little cut. and it's just easy as cranking like this. I really love the look of this one. I like the size, and I like that this cutting pad here is magnetic. Now, if I'm being totally honest, I do not know if these are still available for sale. I've had mine for years. It comes in this really awesome case that kind of looks like a money box from a casino. So whenever I was going to the crop, it was like bringing my most valuable prized possession. It was great. Anyways, so that is the Quickutz Revolution. And again, like I said, I'm not totally sure if they're still available on the market, but it is great. You can kind of see the sticker in there. It says Quickutz Revolution, has a serial number. If you see these on Marketplace, they definitely are great. I would just make sure before you buy it that it does crank, because when I was at the Classic convention, when I bought it, the instructor there was saying that if you overload these, this whole plate unit can crack and break and won't work. So, you know, just be aware of that. It is very solidly made though. Some of this is plastic, but you know, this is metal, it's magnetic, and it has a good crank on it. So, okay, so that's that one. And before Quickutz came out with that one, they had 3 or 4 versions of this one. This is the Quickutz squeeze tool. And the way this one works is like a smaller scale here. This white stuff here is what's called foam or ejection foam. Some of the die cuts, when you first get them, will not have that on there. Some people choose to use it, some people don't. I like it with it for most things because it kind of acts as a shim, which is another term used for die cutting. The shim just basically gives you another layer to help provide a little extra pressure when you're cutting to get a more clean cut. So the way this one works is a lot the same. It is magnetic in here. So you put your die cut, you put your die in here. Then, I don't know how big this was, you put your cardstock and you give it a squeeze. Depending on which one you have, they made a little hand rest and you can press. Not gonna lie, it is a little difficult to do that, but this one is the original one. Ooh, yeah, and it didn't even cut this out. I didn't squeeze very hard. This one is the original one, so they have made some improvements to their pink, purple, and I think black ones. And then again, it has a hand rest, so you could press it down instead of squeezing it. But it does take a little bit of pressure. Let's see if we can get one. That sounded a little better. Yeah, so there we go. That cuts. And if I'm being really honest, I don't use that one anymore. This one is in my sale pile. But it did cut this little butterfly center pretty good. So it's when Quickutz first came out, most of their dies were small like this. I have my collections in binders, and I have tons of them, from alphabets to shapes to little mini doilies, and I still love them and I still use them. I just use them in what's called a snap machine. We'll go over that later though. So let's just keep moving along here and see what else I can share with you. So when Quickutz was out making these dies, there was a lot of companies making the same style of dies, and this was years ago, you know, 10, 15 years ago. And there was a lot of different companies that would make dies, like Boss Cut. Not totally sure if they are still in business or not. These were not my favorite because they just really didn't feel like they were that great made. You can kind of see the wear and tear over the years. And they didn't always cut out real great. But you could use these in your Sizzix sidekick machine. You could also use them in that Revolution because they're just as thin as some of the other Quickutz dies. So that is definitely a perk. Let's see if I can find the plates, and we'll cut something out from this sidekick machine. Okay, so with the sidekick machine, it's the same basic principle. One feature that's really fun, if you don't have your desk all crazy and covered and cluttered like mine, this piece will actually provide suction to this surface that you are cutting from, so it will stay in place, which is really nice. You can use it for left-handed, or you can turn it and use it for right-handed, which is really great. With most of these manual die cutters, you'll be able to do that, so that's nice. So with these, you use your die and your cardstock, or whatever you're cutting out will be fancy, and do 2 of them. So I just folded this cardstock in half. Now remember, you don't want to layer it up too much or they won't work, and it'll be kind of bad for your machine. So I've got a cutting pad and this one. I think I don't need, well, I'm trying to remember, do I need a sandwich or not? Probably do. I don't remember. Yeah, see, it's showing that I haven't used this one in a while. So yes, we do need a sandwich. One of the tips I learned from watching Tim Holtz is when you're making these on here, if you put your die and your cardstock a little bit crooked, it won't bow your plates as bad. So that was a really nice tip, because some of these plates do really get no good. Ooh, this is not working. There we go. I'm turning it the wrong way. This one definitely is a little harder to use than that Revolution, but I've got a thicker layer of cardstock on there. So we just rolled it through, and it cut out these cute little tombstones pretty easily. Oops. So I had 2 of them, but I've dropped one. And that's how that works. So these are great, like if you just want some cute little pictures, if you want alphabets or little phrases, and you don't want to have a big machine, or maybe you go to a crop or, you know, scrapbook with other people, or you want this to sit on your desk. It's very small, which is nice, but you are limited to these smaller dies. So you can use these. I believe you can also use the metal dies that look like this. So these are nice, and if you have longer plates, you can use the longer dies in here. So this one's pretty long. This is a Tim Holtz alphabet. It's the carnival one. I really love the letters on it. So you just put your pieces of paper here and stroll it through with there's another plate that goes on top of that. So again, most of these units will have little how-to booklets. I've managed to save most of them over the years. I'm not totally sure why, but they are nice to reference. If you don't have one, you can go to their website. I know Sizzix offers one. They will have different booklets that you can download, especially once you get into these later machines and you need these sandwiches. They'll tell you which you need. You can also do embossing with almost all of these machines. Even this one, it comes with some really cool embossing folders. Let me just grab one of those and I'll show you what those look like. Okay, we'll move this guy out of the way. So this is one of my big Quickutz binders. I have it a little overfull, like most of my things, but I do have all kinds of embossing plates. And these are really fun. See, these are the patterns that they'll make. And I love embossing the paper. The Sizzix version of this looks like this. So it's bigger. And it's plastic. They also have some smaller ones. These ones are Tim Holtz, so these are the wings, which is really cool. The Sizzix one, so say we had this and we want to put some kind of design on it. We'll go with this one. Can put it back in here. Whoops. Need to put our paper in there first. So open this up. You don't want to pull on them too much because it's two plates together. Like this. I store them outward so I can see what the pattern is, but when you put your item in there, your die cut in here, you put it like this and close it, and then put it in your little crimper, crimp it as tight as you can, or these can also be run through the Revolution, which is way better in my opinion. Then you don't have to do all of this squeezing. But Tim Holtz always says, when we know better, we do better, and that's what is so great about looking at the way that these die cutting machines have evolved. So when we open this up, we have some really great texture on this cut. You can see it didn't really do it there because it didn't fully fit. This was a little too big. But if you're doing a small tag or something, this would be really cute. You could put some ribbon up here and cover that anyways, and you've got some really great texture. So those are fun. I also just recently did a video where I put my envelopes in these die cuts, or embossing folders is what they're called. There we go. And it was really great. Natasha at Treasure Books actually gave me that inspiration. She put her envelopes for a junk journal with these embossing dies, and it added some really great looks to it. Okay guys, I think I'm going to show you the reason I don't use a Sizzix machine anymore, and then we'll call this video a video, and in the next one I'll go over some of the other die cutters, because I do have a Cricut, I also have a Craftwell, I have an Ebosser, and a snap machine. I have a Pazzles machine that I'm not totally sure if it works because it was given to me. Why I need all of these die cutter machines, I really don't know, other than the fact that I'm addicted and have a problem. And when a lot of people decided to get out of scrapbooking, I kind of lucked into some of them. I also had a lot of them for when I had the store, and then I just have hung on to them, probably more for sentimental reasons, and I'm gonna sell a couple of them. Famous last words. But okay, without further ado, let me show you the Ebosser and how easy it is to use, and that's why I still use my dies, but I don't really use any of these smaller machines anymore. Okay guys, so this is my Ebosser, this is the snap machine. These are the two machines that I use the most often, and I really love them. The snap machine does smaller dies. The Ebosser really would do all of them, but it's really nice to have the two separated. I'm kind of spoiled, I guess. Just a unit for doing the smaller dies. I can keep the cutting plates separate and just run them through. Now here's where the sandwiches really come in. And for the Ebosser, you can go to Craftwell's website and you can print out this list, and it shows you what you need as far as plates go and how to put them in order. So today I'm just going to show you how to cut the Sizzix cutting dies. Ooh, sorry for the shadow there. So it says that we will need the platform A, our material, a cutting die, and platform C. So these ones are a lot bigger. These are my platforms. This, and they've got them labeled, which I think is so great. This says Ebosser, and it's the platform C, and then I have A. And this one you don't want to cut on, so you can use your dies. Again, you can use the original dies, which I have here. Now when I say originals, again, we talked about that. Those were the older ones. The first ones, they were red, yellow, blue, and green. Sizzix did evolve, and they're making these ones black. They have a smooth surface on the backs, sorry. And still the same basic principle. I'm sure they're made maybe a little tougher or whatever, but like I said, these red ones have worked over the years and are still amazing. Some of my favorite ones now are the Tim Holtz ones. They look like this color, and they're made in this newer style with the smooth back like this, and they all have his beautiful signature on there, and most of them, he has some different names, but they're all mostly alterations, and they're still by Sizzix. He is one of the designers that designs for Sizzix. This one's Gadget Gears, one of my favorites. And let me get some paper, and I'll show you guys how this works. Okay, so I've got some paper. I've got my platforms. This is the Ebosser again. One of the downsides with these machines, it's not a crank, it is manual, which is a really big plus. However, it is bigger, it is heavier, and you have to plug it in. They do have a battery. I don't remember how long it charges for, but if you're interested in this unit or something like it, I'm not sure they sell the Ebosser, but I think they sell one similar to it, like a newer one. And Teresa Collins, the designer, has her own version of this as well. Just go to Craftwell's website and you can check that out. I'll try to remember to link some of this stuff down below, but really the big thing is to just do your research and your homework. Check out those websites and they'll help you out. Okay, so we've got our originals die, our C plate, the cardstock, this is a file folder, and then we're going to use the A plate. So now this is made the sandwich, and according to Tim Holtz, turn it sideways, it does a little better. So we will put this right through. It's already turned on. This one, I sometimes need to turn around, and it just does it. So no more cranking, no more any of that. It is kind of noisy. You can hear the popping and cracking of that acrylic plate, but again, that's totally okay. Pull it out, and we've got our die cut. So we'll do one more. You can see this is a file folder, so you can fold this. Now imagine if you're a junk journaler, how cool this will be. You can fold it like that. You can fold it, you know, whatever. You can keep it whole and just use it as an insert. All kinds of great ways you can use this. So that has been a die that I've used a lot. We'll choose one of these newer ones and put our paper, see if we can get the whole thing. This is just a scrap. Again, you want to put that flush side, the smooth side, to the C plate, and then your die with the cutting surface up, your cardstock or whatever you're cutting, then your A plate, that makes the sandwich, back through. Again, no more cranking, squishing, none of that. So it does need to have some space because you've got to have room for it to go through. I personally would rather turn this around, but then there's not room for the plate to go through. This one is just a little decorative border. And this is pretty thick cardstock. A little bit of a challenge to get out of here, but it did make a nice clean cut. And these are so fun. You can put these on cards or scrapbooking pages, junk journal pages, whatever it is, the project that you're working on. Let's see here. There we go. You could also use this negative space here. And these are really great. I usually like using these little flourishes. I'll put flowers or gemstones or whatever on them, and they're really great to decorate everything up. The snap machine is just a smaller scale. It uses the thinner dies, so you can't put these ones through it, but all of the metal dies, the thinlets, the framelets, all of that stuff will go right through there, and it works just the same way. So you'll make your sandwich, put it right through, and it just manually does it, so you don't have to, or I guess automatically does it, so you don't have to crank or squeeze or press. So there we go, guys. Be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and share if you learned anything today and you like this video. If you have questions, feel free to drop them down below and I'll do my best to answer them. Again, like I said, I don't have any specific training, just what I have learned over the years using these different machines. I hope you guys like this video and will stay tuned for the next one. See you.